Hi there. So today, I want us to introduce the data science program, where basically today we'll talk about the course outline and all the expectation for all the data science students. So this series, just to mention, it is actually a continuation of the exploratory data analysis. So therefore, for you to take up this program, you first need to do Python for data science program. Then you transition to exploratory data analysis program. And now this is a specialization program where we focus on data science. So specifically for this program, we will actually have, it will actually be a 4 weeks program where on week 1, we are going to cover the machine learning fundamentals. So what you're going to notice about machine learning is that we are going to actually break it down into 2 modules. So we are going to talk about the supervised machine learning. We're going to talk about the supervised machine learning, and then we talk about the unsupervised machine learning on week 2. So therefore, on supervised machine learning, we're actually going to introduce, we'll actually differentiate between the different machine learning types, where we have the supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and reinforcement learning. Then from there, we're going to talk about the machine learning workflow, where we're going to talk about the procedure that is involved in collecting data, cleaning data, feature engineering, training a model, evaluating a machine learning model, and deploying the model in for use. So for us to do all this kind of operation, we are going to utilize some of the tools that are built in Python, which the most popular one in machine learning is the scikit-learn. Then we also have the TensorFlow and also the PyTorch. So in machine learning, specifically the supervised machine learning, we'll actually divide it into 2 modules where we'll talk about regression models and classification models. So just to mention here, regression models deals with numerical prediction. Anytime you want to do a numerical prediction, we are going to work with the regression model. So for example, in this one, we'll actually have a case study where we are going to predict the house prices in a real estate setup. On the other hand, we also have the classification models, which just to mention is when we want to predict categorical variable. Okay, for example, I want to predict whether a transaction is fraud or a transaction is not fraud. Or I want to predict whether a patient has symptoms of diabetes or a patient doesn't have the symptoms. So classification model, as you're going to notice, mainly it focuses with predicting categorical models in such a way that we are mainly focusing on text. Okay, so please remember the difference. Regression model focuses on numerical prediction, while classification model focuses on categorical predictions. Just to actually give highlight on machine learning is that we will actually utilize some of machine learning algorithm. For example, we talk about the regression, linear regression. We also have decision tree regressors, random forest regressors, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, for classification models, we are going to use models such as logistic regression. We have the decision tree classifiers, the standard vector machine, the random forest, and so on and so forth. So for classification, we are going to have a case study where we're actually going to do the credit card fraud detection. So at the end of it all, we can actually predict whether the credit card transaction is fraud or the credit card transaction is not fraud. So that is what we're actually going to do on our week 1 in machine learning, where we'll focus on supervised machine learning. Now on week 2, we are going to cover the unsupervised machine learning, where actually so on our second week, we're actually going to talk about supervised machine learning and natural language processing. So at this point, we'll actually cover the 2 main types of unsupervised machine learning, which is actually clustering and market basket analysis. So to talk about clustering is whereby you want to group data, different data points based on their similarity. So in this manner, we are going to do a case study where we are going to do customer segmentation for e-commerce platforms in such a way that we are going to group several customers based on their similarities, so that now we can perform an action that focuses on people of the same group. Now, from there, we're also going to do market basket analysis, where we are going to apply the association rule mining using the a priori algorithm. So with this one, we are going to do what we call product association and recommendation system. So the main goal for market basket analysis in unsupervised machine learning is to optimize sales using market basket analysis, where we are going to associate this product with this other product, okay? Now, in terms of natural language processing, we're actually going to see how we can handle unstructured data, for example, text. So with NLP, we're actually going to start with what we call web scraping for data collection. So this will be actually a very important aspect where we are going to learn how to scrap dynamic and static website using either the Beautiful Soup library or the Scrappy library, okay? So in this manner, we're going to do a case study project where we're going to extract product review from e-commerce website. Now from there, still on natural language processing, we'll actually do another case study for text classification by actually performing a case study on extracting insights from customer review. So the main idea of natural language processing is basically as the process where we want to train a computer to learn from a natural language. So what we're going to mention in this topic is that normally computer systems are meant to understand programming languages like Python or JavaScript or Java. But now with natural language processing, we want to train a machine to work with a natural language like text or audio, okay? So with this one, we actually going to create something like chatbots and so on and so forth. So that is what we are going to do on week 2 in data science. Then finally in week 3, we'll actually go deeper and learn about deep learning and advanced AI techniques. So with deep learning, mainly we are going to focus on designing the neural networks. So neural networks are actually computer systems that are designed to think and act like a normal biological neural network. So we're going to talk about aspects like perceptrons. We'll talk about in detail what is activation function and forward propagation, backward propagation. Now, after building an artificial neural network, we'll even go deeper and talk about what we call the convolutional neural network, with an idea of actually doing what is called computer vision, okay? So from there, we're actually going to do a case study whereby we're going to identify the defective products in manufacturing. So with the convolutional neural network, what I can mention right now is that it is an advancement of artificial neural network with the purpose of extracting features from visuals like images or videos. So now in deep learning also, we also have recurrent neural network and also the transformer and large language model. Now from there, we're going to do two projects concurrently. For the recurrent neural network, we'll actually build stock market prediction using a time series data, okay? And also now on transformer and large language model is actually one of the trending topics in data science, which is normally called the generative AI. We'll actually put our focus on attention mechanism and the BART models. So in this one, it will give us a foundation for us to build a case study project on AI-powered legal document summarization. Then finally, on data science, we'll actually now go to week 4, where we are going to learn how to deploy a data science model. It could be either a machine learning model or a deep learning model, okay? So we'll be talking about how do you deploy your model using Flask or Fast API or the Streamlit front-end library. Sometimes you might also want to do the Docker and Kubernetes for machine learning pipelines. How do you monitor and maintain models that have been deployed? And then finally, for this case study scenario, we are going to deploy an AI chatbot for customer support. So in this one, we'll actually confidently say that you've actually covered the main aspect in data science. So therefore, we'll actually proceed to actually perform some of our capstone projects. One, we are going to build a predictive analytics for healthcare, such a way that we'll actually build a model from scratch to predict disease risk from patient records. Now, also, we are going to build another custom project on AI chatbot for customer support that later we are going to deploy, and also finally do a fraud detection in financial transaction. So in this manner, we are going to build a machine learning model to detect fraudulent credit card transaction. Then in this manner, we are going to use some supervised learning techniques like random forest or XGBoost for anomaly detection method. And then finally, we now deploy the model as an API for real-time fraud detection in banking system. So much of the highlights in this project is that this course, it's very much hands-on in such a way that we will be using real-world application, for example, in healthcare, e-commerce, or finance. Also, this course will also give you some industry exposure by actually having live case study and guest lectures from our expert in artificial intelligence. And also, I'm sure this program will be actually for your career support in such a way that we could be having workshops on webinars on how to build your resume, how to conduct mock interviews, and also be holding some events for networking opportunity. So that is actually all about the course outline. So I want you to meet me in the next lesson where we are actually going now to introduce you to machine learning in Python. So in that one, let's meet in the next class. Bye-bye.